Hey there, this is Jim Bovard for the Future of Freedom Foundation. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus, or whatever you're marking this time of year. I'm celebrating here with a trademark cheap cigar. So I also wanted to toast the occasion with a beer, but the question is, what beer for the 2019 holidays? Unfortunately, my articles have spurred lots of controversy this year. I keep hoping that everyone will like my articles, but I failed again. So I reached out to some of the folks who made passionate comments online about my articles and asked what beer would be appropriate for me to celebrate the Christmas season. Amazingly, 92% of the respondents mentioned the same beer. Arrogant Bastard Ale. So, to all those commenters, I toast you and wish you a happy holiday. By the way, Raging Bitch came in second, and that was a big disappointment to Flying Dog Brewery. You know, I've not always been a journalist. There was a time long ago that I did honest work. Admittedly, it was temporary. Actually, it was seasonal. Actually, it was only one season, but it was the principle. In the fall of 1977, I moved to Boston to pursue my writing ambitions. I was a 21-year-old college dropout from the mountains of Virginia, and I had just sold my first article to the Freeman magazine. I assumed it would be easy to sell a bunch of other articles and march merrily along. Wrong! The financial wolves were soon howling at my door, so I dove into the help wanted section of the Boston Globe. And after that, I soon found myself front and center at a Santa Claus prep session run by Western Temporary Services. Tossals have always been my downfall. After completing a 28-minute Santa training program, I was dispatched to a Filings department store in the distant south suburbs where I met the boss lady from hell. She was ornery even by Boston standards. She looked me over, grimaced, snorted, and growled, "I hope you're not like those Santas that damn temp agency sent me last year." I said, why? What did they do? The first one was a drunk who would sneak into the bathroom and hit his flask and then drool on the kids while slurring every word he said. The second one pranced around like he thought he was Peter Pan. The third was the worst. He seemed perfectly normal until he dropped trousers with 100 kids watching. I made a note to check the belt on the Santa costume. The boss lady greeted me every day with the traditional Boston, "How are you? Listen, I don't like the way your hair looks. And I thought I told you to shave that red beard. And don't be snacking while you're on the job. Now go out there and look jolly, damn it." I worked as a restaurant Santa, which circling the dining room and visiting families as they munched on their mediocre cuisine. Happily, I almost never had kids on my lap, and any physical contact was usually limited to a pat on the head. After getting kids to recite their Christmas wish list, I handed them a little bag of goodies. It was holy writ to never promise that a child would receive a specific gift, or else Filings would suffer the undying wrath of their parents. This was my first and only experience being a minor deity. As I approached, some kids would jump up and down and in their seats, and if there were two or more kids at the same table, they would have a screaming contest. But not all the children treasured their visit with Santa. I walked up to one agitated 4-year-old, blonde-haired girl hunkered down in her chair. She was clutching the armrests like they were a lifeboat. I leaned over and asked what she wanted for Christmas. She gritted her teeth and says, "I want you to leave." One evening, I saw a dark-haired, dark-eyed boy, 7 years old, standing at the entrance of the restaurant, staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. I stopped by and gave him the biggest grin of the evening. "Santa, you have a weird laugh," he says, as he clung to his mother's skirt. The boy had a point. My laugh has always been rambunctious, and it became rowdier when I occasionally slammed down a beer or two before commencing Santa Claus work. It wasn't my fault that the happy hour at the nearby pub commenced just before my shift started. The same laugh that spooked young Bostonians got me ejected 20 years later from the Supreme Court press box. Near closing one evening, I sauntered up to a large table with 5 kids and their genial mother. The children were well dressed, enjoying a dinner out after putting up Christmas decorations at their church. 3 of the kids were still believers. I got their wish list while their older siblings behaved immaculately, not snickering once. The mother, tall, trim, 30-ish, wearing a long green skirt, leaned back contentedly in her chair, puffing Virginia Slims. After her flock finished their recitals, and with 5 young faces looking on, she asked nonchalantly, "What time do you get off work, Santa Claus?" I hemmed and hawed and said I had to go check on my reindeer. Towards the end of my final night on the job, the high-strung assistant restaurant manager, who had almost fired me the night before for poaching a piece of apple pie, signaled me to follow her to the soda fountain section of the restaurant, far from the prevailing hubbub, for a special guest. As I readied my jollity, Boss Lady Jr. tapped me on the shoulder and said, "The little girl is blind." There sat 2 of the most tranquil people I'd seen the entire holiday season. The mother was resting her left hand lightly on her daughter's shoulder. The little girl looked to be 6 or 7 years old, light brown hair, and a gentle smile that bloomed across her face when her mom announced, "And here comes Santa Claus." I encouraged the girl to touch the fake Santa beard. Unlike some kids, she did not attempt to yank it off like she was playing capture the flag. I've forgotten what she requested for Christmas, but it was reasonable. She didn't ask for a pony and a French au pair and every Barbie doll and accessory made since 1957. Talking softly, I described some of the Christmas decorations in the restaurant. She seemed to enjoy my comments, so I rattled on about the meaning of Christmas. I'd seen a lot of warmth between kids and parents that season, but the bond between that mother and daughter was more precious than any other. There was such a radiance from her mother's love. I knew that girl would have a wonderful Christmas that year. Visiting with that mother and daughter boosted my holiday spirits in a way that spiked eggnog never could. In later decades, when the Christmas season sometimes seemed burdensome or hollow, thinking back on that mother-daughter pair helps put a sparkle back in my eyes. And I count my blessings that I no longer have to don a garish suit, stuffed pillow, to rake in $3.50 an hour, frightening young kids with my laugh. This is Jim Bovard. Thanks for listening, and I wish everyone peace on earth.